Thank you, Mr. Jativa. In fact, the challenges and the issues you raised, they are definitely of grave concern. But since now everybody is asking for level playing field and India being such a big market, there is place for each and every player, whatever you can say. Thank you very much. Now we have a special address from our guest of honor, Mr. Rajinder Kumar. Mr. Rajinder Kumar is the IES, Indian Economic Service Officer, batch 2003. He is MSc Honours in Economics, First Division from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, Punjab. He is currently working as the Economic Advisor, Integrate Finance Division, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Government of India. In his previous stint, he has held some of the important portfolios like Director of Finance, Ministry of MSME, Government of India, Financial Advisor and Chief Accounts Officer in Bhakra Beas Management Board, Ministry of Power. Then he was also the Director, DOD, Ministry of Defense, Government of India, South Block. He has also written some of the books, one of the book being The Dust of Golden Crescent that was published in 2021. He also is accredited with many awards and honors. He got in fact one of the important awards as the top rankers Excellence Award for Finance Leadership in 2023 for making outstanding contribution in the field of finance and public service. Over to you, sir, for your deliberations. Thank you.
Distinguished members on the dais, colleagues from the government and CPSEs, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I had written some specific things to speak about how does gas-based economy or how does gas, its different forms, CNG, LNG, and even LPG, how does it help the economy? But after listening to my esteemed speakers, Mr. Singhal, Mr. Jain, and others, they have given you a lot of data. Since I'm from the government, and one thing I must say right in the beginning is that in last about 9 to 10 years, there has been tremendous amount of policy work done. And I'll share some of the data with you. Before I give you the data and some other perspective, I want to share some thoughts. In my hand here is the latest copy of the Economist published in the New York. And if you look at the last page of this data, this will give you the perspective of the world economy. And when we talk about gas-based economy, and let me put the things in a little different perspective. Since this is not the data of the Government of India, this is international data, I'm sure you would agree with this. This is a reputed document. If I talk about GDP growth in the quarter two, about this year I'm talking about, United States quarter two growth rate is, GDP growth rate I'm talking about is 2.4%. China is 6.3%. And if I talk about the Euro area entirely, it is 0.5%. And if I talk about other economies, number of economies, like if I talk about Germany, it is minus 0.1%. If I talk about, I'm talking about the major economies. I'm not talking about the smaller economies. Germany, USA, China are the major economies of the world. And look at the growth rate of India in the same quarter. It is 7.8% in quarter two. And if I talk about the 2030, the full year data, I mean the estimations given by them, the United States will grow by 2% in 2030, yes, 23 I mean. China 5.2%, Canada 1.1%, Europe, Euro area 4.8%, and Germany, I would say, minus 0.3%, and India 6.5%. Now, why I'm giving this data? This data is important because you need to appreciate the scale, number one, scale, and number two, that India is a developing country. And it is developing at a very fast growth rate. The 7.8%, the growth rate of quarter two, given by The Economist, it is only second to another economy, that is Saudi Arabia, which has 8.7%. So I would say India is the fastest growing developing economy in the world today. And most of the developed countries with whom we are generally making, comparisons, they have either reached at a saturation point. And another perspective, if you talk about USA or if you talk about Europe or Canada, where they have reached today, they have taken hundreds of years, I would say. Hundreds of years. Instead of giving you specific numbers, 250 years or 200 years, hundreds of years. And in the last 10 years, I'll share the data shortly with you, and you will see how much work has been done. And while talking about the policy initiatives taken by the government, I would request you to see the fact that India is the most populated country in the world. It's more than 140 crore people, 1.4 billion people. So even if the government takes some initiatives and it achieves a tremendous success, it will look very small when you compare with 140 crore people. And let me give you one data now. Since 2016, government has given till I'm talking about March 2023 this year, 9.6 crore free connections to the economically weaker sections of the society across the country, across all states. Now this data, 9.6 crore, may look a very small figure, but let me tell you, this is much more than the entire population of Germany, 3 times the population of Belgium, and 1.25 times the population of UK, which includes 3 countries. Just look at the scale. When you put the things in perspective, then you see this is 9.6 crore in last, I would say, how many years? 7 years. 9.6 is a big achievement, I would say. And total, there are 33 crore connections today in the country. And this is, if I'm not wrong, approximately or little more than the entire population of the United States of America. This is the level of scale. So there are a number of things which Government of India has taken initiative on this, and I'm not going to give you exhaustive list because that will take a lot of time. But let me share some of the data with you. The government has notified the National Biofuels Policy in 2018 to increase the uses of biofuels in the energy and transportation sectors of the country. Now, again and again, this data has been shared here, but according to the data given to me, the government has set a target to increase the share of natural gas in the country's energy mix from 6.7% to 15% in 2030, which is, I'm repeating the same thing. Now, there have been always been a certain doubt that whether this target is going to be achieved or not. And then let me tell you that in last 7 years, when I'm sharing the data of 9.6 crore, every time the target has been achieved 6 months or 8 months before the, deadline set. So in my mind as a policymaker, there is no doubt that the government would be able to achieve this. And of course, the people from IGL and IOCL, they are the people who actually do the work on ground. Let me share you some more data and policy initiatives. Sustainable alternative towards affordable transportation initiative called SATAT was initiated in on 1st October 2018, wherein all the gas marketing companies, IOCL, HPCL, BPCL, GAIL, and IGL are inviting expression of interest to procure CBG, compressed biogas CBG. In the last budget speech of Honorable Finance Minister, there was specific emphasis on this, and let me share with you which IGL, I'm just forgetting your name, sir, sorry. Yeah, so he has already shared. Now, this is a new initiative which is still in the pipeline, that whatever gas would be produced by the CBG, that would be connected with the CGD network. And government is inviting the private sector entrepreneurs to come forward and invest in this area with the support of the, of course, government. And one of the feedback which we got from the private sector was that if we set up a CBG plant, what about the transportation cost from CBG plant to the other side? Then they gave a suggestion that we should have such a system that this transportation cost should be minimized. As a result of this, a new policy is in the pipeline that CBG, all the CBG plants, they will be directly connected through pipeline system with the CGD network in the entire country. So this is a new initiative. Let me share you some more data. India's ambitious target is to set up 5,000 commercial plants in 24-25 till 24-25 and produce 15 MMT of compressed biogas, which would replace the gaseous fuels being used in the country. And another big initiative, which again has been talked about, that is the CGD network. And let me tell specifically that after the completion of 11th CGD bidding round, 300 geographical areas covering about 98% of the population and 88% of the geographical area of the country spread over 630 districts and in 28 states and UTs have been issued authorization for the development of CGD network across the country. In 2014, the PNG domestic connections were only 22.28 lakhs. Today, it is 1.15 crore. And the number of CGD geographical area which has increased, as I told, has increased by 5 times to 300, as I already indicated. So these are some of the initiatives just to give you a kind of insight and information that a number of initiatives have already been taken by the government. And government is always open to the new suggestions. While sitting down, I found some suggestions very, I would say, worthwhile. One is LNG transportation, they are saying. And I had noted down a few here. I think that's a very good suggestion. Then CG plan dovetailing, we are already in the process, we are doing that. And then was to invite the state governments to convert their transportation, tire transportation system from diesel to CNG or LNG. See, these are the big things. Things are in the pipeline. For example, a couple of months back, I visited the Kerala. They are already doing this job. And I'm sure the other states, actually, when we see the center and state, there are certain things which are directly in the control of the central government, and there are certain things where the consent of the state government is required, what we call concurrent list and state list and the central list. So there are certain things which are constitutional in nature. You cannot jump over. So we have to take care of that. So I will not take much of your time, but I must thank and the PhD CCI for giving me this honor and giving this opportunity to me to address you people and listen to very esteemed fellows here. And this is also a learning for me. It's very, very important. And I'm sure this conference is going to be very, very successful. I wish my best wishes to all of you and to this conference for very successful. I'm sure this is going to be very, very useful for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajinder, for sharing your perspective and with people at the helm of affairs like you, particularly in terms of thought leadership and policy making. I'm sure that we'll certainly will be able to achieve our goals of 15% energy mix by 2030. Thank you very much, sir. Now we have, in fact, Shri A.K. Tiwari ji. Mr. Tiwari.